Good morning. Welcome back to Morning Qi Gong with this, the Levi Tai Chi School, and myself, Lao Shi Paul Nettles. It is Sunday, October the 4th, and this is the Sunday deep dive into our postures. Today we're going to look at the stars fall to earth posture. And I'm going to say up front, I usually warn you when I have twinged something, and let me precede this by saying that I now have a deep and profound respect for people who work with sheetrock, with gypsum board. I helped my very best friends yesterday for about 7 hours, hanging a sheetrock ceiling in his instrument repair shop. He's doing the new Sinla instrument repair facility, which is based in the new brewery opening up soon, Fighting Hand Brewing Company, both in Pineville. A little blurb there. Sorry about that. Had to. My best friends. Gonna be great. So Chris is actually building a storefront area inside the brewery. And we did sheetrock for the office area. And let me tell you that putting up sheetrock on a ceiling by hand, that's a lot of work. I know a lot of us took some damage from Hurricane Laura and maybe having some inside leakage, or having unfortunately some roof damage done, and or getting some ceilings replaced. Have pity on your sheetrock crew. That is a talent. That is a art. That is a immense amount of physical labor. And yours truly is not remembering his years very well. So if I'm a little funny looking this morning, that's all it is. I've already taken a Flexeril. Nothing else is going to stop this one. So appreciate your sheetrockers. If I know a sheetrocker and I haven't admitted to them that I know them, or that I am aware of them, I profoundly apologize, because you men and women, y'all rock. My gosh. Okay. Deep dive into stars fall to earth. We always say in class that it looks a lot like, but is not, touch your toes. And I want to reinforce that again. When we roll forward into the movement, the vitally important thing is letting the spine relax. We are trying to limber and stretch the tendons that keep our spine in place, comfortable and operating. So when you roll forward, you're actually doing yourself a disservice if you're rolling forward, as we do in class, and then looking up again. Number one, you're putting a lot of tension on the back of your neck, on those muscles and tendons that you don't need to. But you're then turning your spine into sort of a almost an S curve there, which you really don't need to be doing. Let your head, as I say in class again, let your head, your torso, the weight of your torso, your shoulders, your arms, let all that pull you forward as you go into the posture. Now, of course, we're doing this at shoulder width. If you feel the need to get your hands lower to the ground and aren't yet able to get them there, if you're at a shoulder width stance, feel free to go ahead and step into a wider stance. It'll make you feel better. To get your hands on the ground, then cool. It's not going to hurt anything. The important thing is that you have a nice, firm base in your legs for your waist to pivot over and let you hang forward with your torso. We also, in this posture, have the only occurrence of locking our knees intentionally. That is, of course, when you begin to roll forward with locked knees, you're able to pivot a little easier over your waist. It makes more sense to the body if your knees can't bend, that you have to pivot at that waist. So it's more comfortable in the long run. The thing that always stumbled me up in that posture is that once I have locked my knees, I want to keep locking them in places I shouldn't lock them. And I don't know a way to combat that other than to simply be mindful, to remind yourself that, hey, I need to be back on bent knees again. I really have no trick or anything for that one. And this is actually a very simple posture, so there's not a lot of opportunity to go awry in it, except right there. And of course, the lifting the head up to see what's going on around you. You've got to be, let me stress that, be very relaxed, because you're involving your spine in a very major operation. You want to be relaxed. You don't want to hold tension back there, because you will end up injuring yourself in a minor or moderate way. So be sure and relax the entire posture. When you scoop, when we go into the scoop posture, the scoop position where we drop down on our knees, the thing to keep in mind is that you want to, like when we step into horse stances and so forth, we want to keep our weight right over our hips, and we want to drop straight down. And that can be a little difficult sometimes. When we drop into that posture and go to reach in front of us to scoop, we tend to want to roll forward. That's just natural. And you've got to hold yourself straight, which again, the confusion arises because you just rolled forward in the posture itself. When you went into the forward motion, you rolled your spine forward. And now I'm saying don't roll your spine. So it can be a little, especially at first, a little confusing to keep the two apart. The opportunity to roll your spine and the opportunity to hold your spine taut. What I find intriguing about that squatting posture is that the Western world invented chairs pretty early on as something to sit on. So our ability to drop our hips straight down and rest our buttocks on our calves and our ankles has deteriorated, has never been developed in the first place. I think we can do it as kids pretty easily. You see kids kind of squatting down on their haunches, and it's completely natural to them. And we don't do that anymore in the West. So our ability to hunker down like that is impaired somewhat. So it takes practice, like everything, to be able to come down comfortably onto your haunches and rest if you can the back of your thighs and your buttocks on your calf. I can't do it yet. It just takes time and practice. But you want to aim for that. You want to aim for a comfortable resting position with your spine mostly upright. I often think about, if you've ever seen them, you might want to Google them if you haven't. They're very interesting. They call them Indian running ducks. And, most ducks, of course, their feet run roughly parallel to the ground, but their bodies run at a very sharp angle forward to kind of holding themselves at a lean. Indian runner ducks, runner ducks. Indian runner ducks have a very, very vertical posture. They're very tall ducks. And it makes me think of that when you go to sit, how you're holding yourself upright and you can sink down that way. It's just a personal thing. You might learn something, though. They use them in vineyards to keep bugs under control because they don't eat plants. Learn something new. I can't beat it. Okay, so torso will stay as vertical as you can get it when you sink down into your scoop movement. And the last thing I think to worry about really is when you rise from that scooping movement, be sure and lift your legs first. Let your legs hoist you up. I think I may have gone off rail. I'm sorry. The flick drum may have kicked in. Yes, I am sorry. Oh my gosh. I should delete this and start over again, but I can't. It's live. Blame the pain meds. The torso is not straight in the rising up from the scoop. I am very sorry about that. You do stay rolled because, of course, when you straighten, we straighten our legs first and then our back. I am so sorry about that. Shouldn't teach and take meds. Don't do drugs, kids. Drugs are bad. So when you rise from the squat, knees straighten first until they are almost locked, and then the back unrolls and you draw up. How about I show you? I'm doing a lot of talking. I'm trying to avoid doing a lot of movement today with my back, but we're going to go and do a little bit here, and I'll stop if I have to. So, to integrate everything we've talked about this morning, as always, from our center position, we're stepping out shoulder width. I'm taking 2 steps, of course, to get centered in the camera. You'll take just 1 step out to your shoulder width. We're going to breathe in from our hands resting position, 1 breath all the way up. And that takes time and practice like everything. Slow your breath if you need to. You can even speed your arms up a little bit to get that 1 breath if you need to. As always, if you need to, take 2 or 3 breaths. It's fine, especially the beginning. As you work into it, then you change that to 1 breath up. So we'll breathe in. Like me, the hand postures, once we get to our collarbone level, we roll, come all the way up. Stretch vertically, make sure you're nice and tall, and at this point, lock your knees. Now, like I said, that gives you, this is the first joint then you can move at, is this waist level. So we simply roll forward. The torso is held firmly. Yeah, I can't go too far, my apologies. When we're low, the knees drop, and we're going to come straight down. I'm going to turn sideways and show you that too. So we'll come straight down, scoop, and then again, straighten knees first, bringing the hips up, and then unroll the back, coming up. So from the side, we breathe in, lock, breathe out, roll forward, notice my head pulling me. I'm not trying to look up in any kind of a way. I am hanging from right through here. Then, bending the knees, hips come straight down. Scoop, knees first. Notice again, my head is still pulling me forward. Then straighten. Head goes back. All the way up, nice and straight. It wasn't too bad. My back isn't very impressed with that, but it wasn't too bad. So, please forgive the earlier wandering of my mind. I missed that a little bit. One of the intriguing things I found, especially early on about teaching, is that I have to review in my head that which I understand physically in a very intimate manner and try to explain that to somebody else in words, and that's really surprisingly difficult, and it's a great training method. When you're trying to think your way through it and speak it, even though you're doing it right, getting the words to match the movements in a way that someone else can understand, it can be difficult. And it's a very interesting addition to your training. I would strongly suggest, if you have the opportunity, show your kids, show the dog, show the cat, show the spouse. It's an interesting way to deepen your training, to deepen your practice. When you've got to think about it, it changes how you view the practice, how you view the posture, how you move, and makes you kind of refocus on what you're doing, as I did this morning, trying to explain it in the way I thought I understood it, and then the reality of it struck me, and I thought, well, no, that's not how you do it. Even though I know how to do it, I've been doing it for years now, I haven't tried to talk really in depth about it for a long time. So thank you for the opportunity, and remember, failure is always an option. in verbal as well as in physical. So I appreciate the opportunity to get that straight in my head, verbally at least. So, again, the important aspects, the base aspects: move slowly, move very, very slow. Keep a steady pace all the way through. As always, you want a nice continuous movement. You don't want to stop at any one point, especially when you get hunkered down on your haunches. Don't go in there and kind of linger for a second, then come back up again. Keep this a nice slow movement. You'll notice how I will often turn the hand movements into a nice round movement, even down there, to keep that momentum up, to keep that pace the same. And again, be very aware of your spine, be very aware of what's going on. You know the signals and signs of injury better than anybody. So pay attention to that, because you are really engaging your spine. Be aware of those little issues and those warning signs. Make it nice and fluid. That is a great overall guideline for all the Qi Gong postures. And again, this simply takes practice. But if you imagine yourself, if you've ever been in a swimming pool, a big pool especially, of still water by yourself or relatively alone, not with a bunch of people thrashing around, where the water is turbulent. If you're in a pool and you go to move, all of your movements are slowed. If you try to lift your hand, you can't just lift it. You're pushing against a weight of water, especially the lower you get. You're fighting that water pressure as you come up. And you can feel, of course, the water moving over your fingers and your palm. So you get a much slower movement. You can't flip your hand over. You've got to kind of push. And you push down and you can push forward and you move yourself through the water. But there is a pressure on all of you that slows that movement. And that's the best way I can tell people to visualize your movement in Tai Chi and Qi Gong. Think of yourself as in a pool, a nice, warm, comfortable pool. It's just the right temperature. It's quiet. It's calm. The water's still. You're the only one making ripples in it. And as you move, you're working against that gentle pressure on you. That pressure is also a little supportive. Your body's a little buoyant. Let your body feel buoyant in the air on these nice, strong muscles you've built up. And you move slow. You come gently through the water. You don't fight your way through it. You can, certainly, to a point. I won't get into the physics of water being a somewhat non-Newtonian fluid sometime, where if you hit it hard, suddenly it's hard too. You're moving slowly, feeling that pressure, and drifting. You're going to drift through your movements. So as you go through those long, deep, rolling forward movements and lifting yourself up, try not to linger on the fact that you want to get up. My knees are starting to ache. I want to get off my knees. I want to get up fast and get going again. Try to stay with that slow, stay with that easy, relaxed movement. Drift up, drift down, roll forward slowly, and keep that pace as you go through the posture. Not easy, but worth it. With what you're doing, you're building up strength. You're building up long-term slow strength, that strength that lingers. You're building up constitution to have that strength continue and continue and continue at a moderate to sometimes very, very heavy usage rate. But you have that long burn strength to last you and last you and last you. That's the joy of it. All right, so one more time. We'll go over it real fast. And you can practice if you like to this morning. If not, take Sunday off. We'll start Monday again, 8 a.m., like always. So, from our center, shoulder width, hands in front, blow our dantian just a little bit. Breathe in all the way up, preferably one breath, nice and slow. Stretch, knees locked, bending at the waist and up. Roll forward. enjoy that control of lowering your torso slowly. Knees bend, hips come straight down. Scoop. Breathe in, the knees lift the hips up, and then you straighten your back, nice and slow, and continue up. From the side. Forward. Sink, scoop, straighten, unroll. Now, I want you to notice something too. This just occurred to me, and this is important. As I roll forward, of course, my center of mass is changing a great deal. My center of mass right now is roughly where my shoulder is. That's where the center of my weight is resting. So as I come way out here, and especially as I move my torso forward, my center of mass goes from inside between my lungs to way out here. Be wary that you don't tip forward. Doesn't happen very often, but be aware you don't want to tip forward as your center of mass moves. My legs, you know, stay very straight. My toes kind of push down, and that's my proprioception kicking in. That's my body's ability to hold itself in one space in the air. So we're working our balance again very hard by pushing ourselves way off center. We're changing our center of mass and challenging our body. So this is quite a challenge to your system. If you find yourself backing up too much, be wary of that too. You're going to throw yourself off balance again. Try to keep your legs as perpendicular as you can to the ground as you come forward. Don't let yourself be afraid to push that center of mass forward. It's good training. It's really good for your balance. When you start pushing that center of mass around and making your body say, oh, what do I got to do now to stay up straight? I've got to adjust. I've got to tighten the toes. I've got to pull the calves in. I've got to do this and the other thing. That's all good for your balance, especially as you get older and fall risk becomes a very life-threatening thing. So when you roll forward, hold the torso firmly without trying to clench yourself up. You don't want to clench your back up. Just hold yourself so that you roll forward slow and come back up again. Make sure your legs stay straight as you can get them. And if you move slow, of course, you don't tend to get off balance quickly. You can see it coming. So be ready for it. Be ready for that change of center of mass. All right. That was fun. Even though my spine is not very pleased with me. Even more so now. One of those things. I was aware of back injury. I've been aware of it for a long time. I didn't take the appropriate steps. Going to pay for it today with the help of a little Qi Gong and a little pharmaceuticals and maybe some rest. We go on. Life goes on. Tomorrow's Monday. Tomorrow I will not be able to have class, I don't believe. I'm actually going to be at the brewery tomorrow morning. I've got to let some contractors in. My best friends both have to work or be at an appointment tomorrow morning. So I will be brewery sitting in the morning. So I won't be able to broadcast. There's no Wi-Fi there. And I've already exceeded my data limits. We have an incoming, hang on. So no class Monday morning unless I can do a late one or maybe do one this afternoon and pre-record it. We'll see how my back is going to feel. Let me do that if at all possible. If not, we will resume Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time as always. And we'll do the form and we'll continue through. And your practice of the form should be getting better. if you're watching these little master classes, these little deep dive classes, they should be very specific and very skilled. Enjoy that skill. Be proud of that skill. Keep practicing that skill. That's the thing. All right. I hope you, as always, stay safe and be well. On behalf of myself and the crop duster out there, thank you.